That's why I found a good man. If you don't want a divorce, just send me money.
These were the final words she threw at me.
It's a charity case for someone like me who is working so hard to be married to a boring middle-aged guy who's just working overseas. Besides, I've been dating the CEO's son a bit, and there's nothing you can complain about.
I see. That guy is getting fired next month, though.
I don't have time for this call, bye.
I swallowed my words and immediately contacted the CEO back at the main office in New York as soon as the call ended. My name is John Smith, and I'm 50 years old. My wife, Sarah, who is 5 years younger, and our 20-year-old son, Michael, who is in college, make up our family of three. Sarah and I met at work, and she was quite the elite employee. Honestly, it was a significant blow when she left the company, and I thought she understood that and would continue working. So I was surprised when she said she would quit.
After all, you said you wanted to have a child with me. The workplace is important, but a child with you is more important, so I can't let work keep me from making you lonely.
It was such a delightful thing to hear. So, I had no problem with Sarah becoming a stay-at-home mom, and when she was struggling with pregnancy and childbirth, I managed both work and caring for her, as well as all the housework and childcare by myself.
I'm so glad you're my husband, John. Honestly, everything is great now thanks to you.
It's for my precious Sarah and Michael. It's only natural. When Michael was in the upper grades of elementary school, about 10 years after Sarah gave birth, I heard that many people experienced significant damage during this period and that it's easy to get sick, but Sarah remained healthy. This was undoubtedly due to good health management. Still, I was genuinely happy that she regularly praised my efforts. Of course, I didn't take her words at face value and understood that she was being considerate of me. But being appreciated felt good. Even after that, I dedicated myself to work, but I made every effort to create time for Sarah and Michael, striving to reduce her burdens at home and provide financially and physically. That's why I sincerely believe that our family of three was living harmoniously and happily. However, as Michael entered high school, Sarah's attitude gradually became more distant. I'm at an age where I didn't mind if she stopped saying, "Hi, honey," when I get home. But over time, I found no dinner when I returned home, had to make my own breakfast, and even wash the shirts I used for work. At first, I thought she was just tired and needed a little rest, so I didn't complain. But then Michael told me something shocking.
Mom hasn't been washing my gym clothes or making breakfast lately. She says I'm old enough to do it myself, but it's tough to handle everything.
I see. Well, it's true that it's tough, especially with exams coming up. But Mom has a point too. Maybe you could negotiate to reduce some of the chores. I'll talk with her too. Michael began to speak reluctantly, looking troubled.
You say that, but lately Mom hasn't attended any of my parent-teacher meetings or career consultations. Instead, she goes out, gets drunk, and then tells me to do the laundry while I'm studying late into the night. I can't agree with that. It feels like I'm being used.
As a stay-at-home mom, I expect her to do the minimum of household chores and take care of Michael as a guardian. Even though Michael is more self-reliant now, he still needs parental guidance. Moreover, what kind of parent would waste household money on personal desires and do nothing for their child? I'm grateful for her years of effort as a stay-at-home mom, but that's a different matter.
What? You left me to raise a child alone for 17 years? I've handled everything from school activities to neighborhood relationships, right?
As a side note, Sarah was terrible at dealing with neighbors due to her high pride. I managed most of the neighborhood interactions to ease her burden, but arguing wouldn't help, so I decided to listen to her.
Besides, I have been working alone all this time, so don't complain if I play a little. I look younger than my age, right? Be grateful to have such a beautiful wife.
I wouldn't complain about a little play, and it's fine if I'm the last priority. But Michael still needs a guardian. Could you reduce some of his chores and attend his school meetings? Hearing this, Sarah looked at me in disbelief and began to scold me.
What? You have it easy with just work. I'm handling household chores, childcare, school events, neighborhood relationships, which are way more stressful and demanding than your job. Understand?
Bang! Sarah slammed her hand on the desk, her voice growing louder.
17 years of this would tire anyone out. Michael is old enough to take care of himself. I'm struggling with menopause symptoms and my health isn't great, so don't complain.
It's impossible to have a reasonable conversation like this. However, it is true that she has worked hard for our son for 17 years, and I acknowledge that I could advance in my career thanks to Sarah's support. To reduce the burden of household chores, I bought a washer dryer, installed a dishwasher, and set up smart home appliances. I also took promotion exams to earn more in less time. Michael passed his exams, got into his desired college, and now handles things around the house on his own. Sarah returned to work part-time at my old company and said,
Michael is a college student now and can take care of himself. So there's no reason you can complain about me doing what I like, right?
her outings increased, and she started coming home less often than when Michael was in high school. Despite my suspicions growing with her absence, I tried to push them away. She's my one and only wife. I can't doubt her. Maybe I made her feel lonely, so I'm partly to blame. But that doesn't justify her actions. I wanted to make time to have a serious conversation, but then I was assigned an overseas transfer. The new salary was better, enough to cover Michael's tuition, living expenses, and even some extra spending money. When it came to moving abroad, Michael said,
Studying abroad wouldn't be bad, but I'm a bit worried about Mom, so I'll stay here for now.
he showed interest in coming with me, but decided to stay in the US for Sarah's sake. Sarah, however, responded with,
I just got back to work and finally have my own time, and now you want to move abroad? A trip is one thing, but a transfer is impossible.
her answer, not considering Michael's concern at all, left me exasperated. In this situation, I left them in the US and moved abroad. Michael kept me updated, so I had a general idea of how they were doing, but I was still worried. Despite my worries, it seemed Sarah was enjoying her freedom. I regretted not having a proper talk before leaving, but knew it was too late. Sarah started seeing a guy from my former office. She was always a beautiful and popular employee. The CEO's son, who knew her well, took advantage of my transfer to get close to her. My transfer was a promotion, not a demotion, but it was a good opportunity since I wasn't around. How did I find out about this? Sarah herself revealed everything.
That's why I found a good man. If you don't want a divorce, just send me money.
These were the final words she threw at me. Wait, I understand, but I can't wrap my head around it. It's hard to accept such an explanation without question. For most people, that's normal. Yes, for most people.
Well, that's what it's like marrying a beautiful elite employee. And what about you lately? I've been making sure not to let my beauty fade, even while raising our child.
I could hear her sigh over the phone.
It's a charity case for someone like me who is working so hard to be married to a boring middle-aged guy who's just working overseas. Besides, I've been dating the CEO's son a bit, and there's nothing you can complain about.
She revealed her affair during our marriage as if it were nothing.
So, what's your current salary? If I remember correctly.
Yeah, it's $10,000.
Right. I was shocked when I heard that. How did you think that would be okay? Well, whatever. Michael is still in college, so make sure to send enough for living expenses and tuition.
Her statements were selfish and showed she wasn't listening to me. I suspected something was wrong, but I never imagined she could be so arrogant.
Well, even if it's not enough, I'll just have my boyfriend cover the rest.
Just to clarify, this boyfriend is the CEO's son, right? When I asked, Sarah proudly introduced him.
He's the ace of our branch, Ken. Who else would the CEO's son be? He's the next CEO. I don't know about the cost of living overseas, but he's more secure than you with your $10,000 salary.
It's been a while since I heard her talk so enthusiastically. I see. That guy is getting fired next month, though.
I don't have time for this call, bye. If you don't want a divorce and to lose custody of Michael, make sure to send the money.
I swallowed my words and immediately contacted the CEO back in New York as soon as the call ended. Honestly, it was annoying to deal with personal issues on top of work, but thinking back to Sarah's behavior over the past few years, I guess there's no need for mercy. That was all I could think. I wasn't in the US, but there was still a lot I could do. So besides contacting the CEO, I made various arrangements and waited for the right moment. A month later, I got a call from Sarah. It's finally happening. I hope the CEO is handling it well. I had been waiting for this moment, so I took out everything I had prepared and started a call on my smartphone.
What is this divorce paper? And alimony claims. This is a terrible joke.
She yelled as soon as she answered the phone. Her voice was loud enough for Michael, who was in the same room, to hear, and he was trying hard not to laugh. Yes, Michael had already left the US and come to my place. It's not a joke. You seemed unhappy in our marriage, so it's a small gesture of consideration.
Your jokes are so bad we can't have a proper conversation.
I was trying hard not to laugh, but my efforts were in vain as I heard the intercom ring through the phone. The CO had arrived at my house in the US.
Who is it at such a busy time?
Go ahead and answer. I'm waiting. It might be the registered mail I sent. I sent something important, so if possible, check it right away. Of course, I hadn't sent anything.
Oh, Ken, what are you doing here? Wait, is that the CEO?
She opened the door to find the man she was seeing, the CO, and a lawyer standing there. No wonder she was surprised.
What brings you here today?
I came to discuss your and my son's misconduct, which has caused trouble for our employee. We're here with a lawyer to talk about it.
I could hear the CEO's voice. Even though he was speaking quietly, I could tell he was very angry, and it was amusing to hear Sarah's panic. I wondered if it was appropriate for my son to hear this, but since he had helped with the investigation, I put it on speaker for him.
Last month, an employee reported that, as soon as he transferred, my son and his wife developed an improper relationship. Such a person cannot be trusted with work.
As the CO began speaking calmly, the lawyer started pulling out some items. I knew exactly what it was. They were probably photos that my son had gathered to prove their relationship.
There's quite a lot. Could you spread them all out, please?
Oh, sure.
The sound of rustling papers indicated they were spreading the photos. Michael whispered mischievously.
I had so much fun playing detective that I collected a ton of evidence.
He's quite the strategist, my son.
Is this all you?
Well, yes.
The CO's anger flared up at the sheer number of photos laid out on the table. Ken's frightened voice joined the chaos.
Well, Mrs. Smith, we rehired you as a part-timer because of the trust you earned as a full-time employee before marriage.
The CO said to Sarah, sounding disappointed. To follow up, I added, Sir, these photos were taken during our company's regular business hours on weekdays. Whether part-time or full-time, this suggests they were slacking off on the job. Were they on leave during those times? The atmosphere froze, even over the phone. Yes, the photos my son took were during weekday daytime hours. The branch where Ken and my wife work is closed on weekends and holidays. Although they have early and late shifts, they can only take weekdays off with paid leave. Given the number of photos taken, it seems they were leaving work during their shifts and visiting places unrelated to their jobs. My son, ensuring his voice didn't get picked up on the call, chuckled.
Don't underestimate a college student's spring break. I had plenty of time on my hands, too.
So, you two were sneaking out during work hours to do this.
No, that's not true.
This can be easily checked. Is it really not true? Huh?
The CO questioned Sarah, but of course, she didn't answer honestly.
No, sir. This must be a mistake. The dates and times must have been faked.
She mumbled, avoiding a clear answer. However, this was expected. I asked the lawyer on the other end of the line to present the other evidence I had gathered.
Yes. Here are their attendance records and schedules for those days. We have testimony from within the company that their actions were causing significant disruption to work.
Before the lawyer could finish speaking, Ken and Sarah's near screams could be heard, and my son looked annoyed. I had asked colleagues and the HR department at the branch in the US to help verify their attendance records and conduct interviews. Normally, I wouldn't go this far just because of infidelity, but I'm a responsible employee. If the evidence collected by my son contains anything that could impede their work, we're certain to conduct a thorough investigation. Seeing the photos, records, testimonies, and performance reports, the CO seemed more disappointed than angry.
It is deeply regrettable that your actions have eroded the trust of other employees.
He sighed heavily and continued.
You and Sarah are both terminated this month.
Wait, Dad. She's good at her job and has connections with other companies. Marrying such a useful woman should be seen as an achievement for me.
What?
Sarah's shocked voice mixed with Ken's sudden outburst, and I couldn't help but burst into laughter.
Dad, you okay?
Michael was laughing too. Sarah never expected such words from the man she had trusted for so long.
Yes, Sarah has strong connections with various companies and is trustworthy in her work, but that does not excuse long-term infidelity.
The CEO's anger was palpable. I spoke to the CEO over the phone. Sir, Ken and my wife's affair started when my son was in high school, so it's been 3 years. The evidence I gathered back then is with a lawyer. Please review it.
What are you saying? He and I only started dating when I returned to work.
Listening to Sarah, it seemed true, but the reality was different. I knew about your and Ken's relationship even before we got married. When Michael started high school, he contacted me and that's when you two started meeting. The lawyer showed the CO the message history from that time. When I learned that Sarah had been leaving all the housework to Michael, I suspected something was wrong. I discovered an email history from the company's mailbox to our home computer, which was shocking. However, at the time, Michael was preparing for his college entrance exams, so I couldn't make a big deal out of it. All I could do then was transfer the sender's ID and the content to another medium. If they had used their personal cell phones, it would be one thing, but I never imagined they would do this on a company computer. At that time, I couldn't believe it and couldn't consult anyone.
Of course not.
The CO didn't blame me for not reporting it sooner and listened carefully. I also heard that my son noticed his mother meeting another man, which added a lot of stress to his studies. Sarah was shouting about how she was meeting outside, but I continued regardless. Additionally, there is evidence that Ken influenced my wife's return to the company, aside from her past job performance. Lawyer, can you show them that?
Yes.
At this point, the lawyer showed the CO the messages from that time. I could sense the CEO trembling with quiet anger, even over the phone. The messages showed they wanted to spend more time together, so they manipulated her return to the workplace.
You kicked out other candidates to hire her for this nonsense. You told me she was highly capable and her experience would be beneficial for the company. Was that all a lie?
Judging by the CO's reaction, it was clear that the messages were quite embarrassing, and presenting this evidence to the lawyer was quite humiliating for me.
Well, she was actually a very capable employee.
Ken stammered.
What do you mean by capable?
Think about it. She has a grown son, but no other merits. Having a capable woman join the household helps everyone, even you and Mom.
Even though you were never considered for the CEO position, I never thought I'd regret making you a branch manager so much.
The CO seemed utterly disappointed with Ken's response.
What? Not considered for a CO? I'm your only son. Why? I'm the branch manager.
Who could have imagined my former boss making such low excuses? However, another person was dismayed at the news that Ken wouldn't become CEO.
What do you mean he's not becoming CEO? I only dated him because he promised to make me the CEO's wife. Sir, you wouldn't do that to your own son, would you?
Why would you think I'd simply fire someone destined to be the next CEO?
It was a reasonable conclusion. My son had been laughing throughout this exchange. As long as my son wasn't hurt, I felt a bit relieved, and this situation seemed less worrisome. Sarah, realizing she couldn't sway the CEO, turned to me on the phone.
This is all your fault for being incompetent. How did you plan to raise a child on a $10,000 salary?
$10,000? Oh, you mean $1 million? I'm now a little bit working overseas, so I thought I was providing well for you.
10,000, not in US dollars?
When it's converted to US dollar, it's roughly equivalent to $1 million. However, when the overseas little VP transfer came up, I already knew about Sarah and Ken's relationship. I remember casually mentioning it on trash day. I expected her to be interested in the salary, but she completely ignored it. You always complained about not having enough money for yourself, and it was tough focusing on housework and childcare without a career, so I thought this promotion was the best I could do for you. Until I discovered their relationship, I had genuinely believed this. But looking at the records of your interactions and your behavior toward me in recent years, it seems you no longer had feelings for me and were serious about Ken. So I decided to step aside. For the first time, I was glad this conversation was over the phone. My voice sounded as sad as I could manage, but my face was beaming with a big smile. Seeing this, my son was also enjoying himself.
Wait, please. I was wrong. You worked so hard, and I don't know why I did such terrible things. I'll sincerely apologize, so please forgive me.
Sarah's apologetic words came through the phone, but they didn't sound heartfelt. She likely wanted to return to me because her boyfriend, whom she thought would become the CEO, was suddenly fired, and I had a higher income. However, I'm not that much of a pushover, and I have no intention of canceling the divorce. My decision to divorce stands. And by the way, I've already sold the house, so you need to move out immediately. I delivered this message in an unexpectedly cold tone, ignoring her apology.
Sold. Wait, that was our home. How could you sell it without my permission? And what about Michael? Where is he supposed to live? You haven't considered us at all.
Just as Sarah was ranting, Michael interrupted the call.
I haven't been living in that house for quite some time, Mom. My room has been empty of all furniture and personal items for almost 2 months now. Did you really not notice?
What? Michael, why are you there?
Sarah suddenly realized her son was on the other end of the call, and she panicked.
I came here on my own after learning about the divorce. Once I found out you were at fault, I decided to stay with Dad. You took advantage of Dad's absence to do whatever you wanted, so gathering evidence was really easy.
While I collected the incriminating messages, Michael took all the photos. Despite their freedom, they left plenty of evidence proving their affair, and I couldn't have done it without him.
Michael, you're my son, right? I raised you. Please convince your father to forgive me. I was just a little lonely.
Sarah's pleas to Michael over the phone sounded pitiful.
I'm your only mother. I raised you. You know I'm the better parent.
Indeed, during his early years, Sarah played a significant role in Michael's healthy upbringing.
Mom, I appreciate everything you did for me when I was younger, but Dad took care of all our finances. Sure, I'm grateful for your efforts, but you left me to be with another man and pushed all the household chores on me. I don't have many good memories of those times.
Michael began to speak slowly.
And as for being a parent, Dad was always there for me, listening to my concerns and helping with my future plans. You abandoned me for another man while Dad was away. There's no comparison.
Sarah had no response, stammering.
Well,
The conversation trailed off. Initially, Michael felt he couldn't abandon the mother who raised him. However, after discovering her infidelity, he realized she had been unfaithful to both me and him, and he couldn't support her. Being abandoned by her son must have been a heavy blow, but I had to say one more thing to my soon-to-be ex-wife. Regarding the divorce and its causes, I've informed your father Sam and your mother Catherine. Also, since you were involved with someone who was supposed to be the next seal, we'll be thoroughly handling alimony and asset division. I didn't care that the man who claimed to be the next seal had just been fired. For future matters, the lawyer there will handle everything. Please contact me through the lawyer from now on.
wait. I'm truly sorry for everything. Please, just don't go through with the divorce.
Ignoring Sarah's cries over the phone, I ended the call. Given the years of continuous pain I endured, it felt anticlimactic to resolve everything with a short phone call. Of course, there would still be demands to reduce alimony and mediation, so it wasn't really over yet.
Mom, I do appreciate what you've done, but Dad is important to me too. Seeing someone I care about hurt so much makes me sad.
Michael said, trying to comfort me as I pondered the future.
Dad, you took care of the household and faced everything head on. Even when Mom acted that way, you helped me get into college, study abroad, and grow into an adult. You're the parent that matters to me. I'll always be here to help with anything, so don't worry.
I had always felt guilty about focusing only on work, but knowing my efforts to support my family were recognized by my son brought me relief. While I intended my wife's lover to be fired as a form of revenge, Michael's words made me realize that our happiness was the best revenge. The divorce with Sarah progressed smoothly. When I contacted her parents, they immediately came to my home in the US and deeply apologized in front of the house. They said they wouldn't support Sarah and that she would have to find a new job on her own, which was proving difficult. That's true. Despite her past success as an elite employee, she had a long break. Moreover, with her prideful personality, she couldn't find a job that met her desired salary, so she ended up working part-time. We received alimony in one lump sum, so her situation no longer concerned me. Ken, the CEO's son, was fired and later rehired as a regular employee at a small subsidiary manufacturing plant.
You could have demanded more alimony. I'm sorry for the trouble my son caused. I don't know how to apologize enough.
The CEO always apologized to me sincerely, and I knew he was a good man, so I didn't hold it against him. It wasn't your fault, sir. I received the alimony, so don't worry about it.
I thought firing him was appropriate, but that wasn't enough. I sent him to a subsidiary that's practically a prison, so he won't cause trouble for a while.
Apparently, the subsidiary he was sent to is quite strict. Ken, who had been acting arrogantly as a branch manager and thought he would be the next CEO, also has a high level of pride, much like Sarah, and his work isn't going well either. Sarah and Ken were quite suited for each other, given their mutual disdain for others. Since then, Sarah and Ken have not seen each other.
I'm glad you became our little VP. I look forward to working with you.
Years later, my son graduated from college and now works in a field he loves. He hasn't been in contact with Sarah.
If anything happens, Sam and Catherine will let me know, so I don't really know how she's doing.
As for me, I continued my work as Little VP, expanding the business and earning more than before. I considered remarrying, but my son often brought his girlfriend over, with whom he planned to marry.
When I get married, let's live together, Dad.
Since he said that, I started to think that I don't have to force myself to remarry. His girlfriend is a wonderful person. Seeing them happy together is enough for me. I used to think that Sarah's infidelity was my fault due to my workaholic nature. But spending more time with my son made me stop dwelling on that and focus on my work. Now, I believe that enjoying the rest of my life with my son and colleagues is all I need.